Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Byproduct Podcast. My name is Ian Pruckner. I am excited to be here with you, spending a few minutes together, getting better together, because when we get better, things get better, right? It's hard to show up to life more focused, more determined, more dialed in, more energetic, more enthusiastic, and not demand a higher price out of life. Life is one of those things which you get out what you put in. And so, man, I'm excited to be here with you today. I'm excited to bring the energy. And today I want to talk to you about the education scam, You know, there's so much going on right now in the world about student loan forgiveness. And I talked a little bit about that on a live video. I'm going to talk a little bit about it today, but forget student loan forgiveness, okay? The entire education system is designed for you to fail. It's designed for you to never have the life of your dreams, to never have control of your time, to never have control of your finances. It is literally by design, by default, structured to keep you stuck. And so we're going to jump into that today. And, you know, for those of you who know me and my family, we've been homeschooling our kids for the last 9 years. We're the OGs of homeschool, right? We were doing that long before the lockdowns. And one of my mentors early in life, he said, Ian, never let schooling get in the way of a good education. Let me say it again. He said, never let schooling get in the way of a good education. And it was so profound to me. I thought, wow, how incredible is that? Because education and schooling are not the same thing, right? Education and schooling are not the same thing. See, education is about learning how to think. Indoctrination, schooling is learning what to think. Here's what to think. Here's the opinions you should have on this. Here's the ideas we want to teach you, and you don't need to worry about the other things out there, right? And you've got to get educated, but you definitely don't need to be schooled to be educated. I love what Jim Rohn said. He said that formal education will make you a living. Formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune, right? And listen, I went to school, I went to college, okay? I'm thankful, I guess, that I went to school mostly for the relationships that I built at that point in my life, most of which are inactive today, okay? But listen, I definitely did not learn anything about what it takes to succeed in the real world in school. I learned that out in the fields of the free market, having to compete for business, deliver a product, deliver a service at a fair price with an overabundance of value in order to compete in that marketplace. Man, I had to get better. I had to get faster. I had to become a better person, a better leader, a better communicator. I had to learn how to deliver more quickly, on time, above and beyond what I promised. I had to learn all of those things, and none of that is taught in school. So I want to take you back. I want to take you back to your first day of kindergarten. Most of you probably went to kindergarten. And I want you to think about Monday through Friday, what happened every day in kindergarten, in first grade, in second grade, at about 8 o'clock in the morning. You went to what? You went to school. You showed up about 8 o'clock in the morning. About 10 o'clock in the morning, what happened? Every day, same time. What? The bell rung and it was time for what? For recess, right? You come back in, you do a little bit more schooling. Noon rolls around. What time is it? It's lunchtime, right? It's lunchtime. Every day, noon, it's lunchtime. You go back in, you do a couple more hours of schooling. About 1:30, 2 o'clock happens. The bell rings again. What is it? It's recess, right? It's recess again. Okay, you go back in about 4 o'clock or so. The bell rings and you get to go what? You get to go home. And so every day you show up at 8. 10 o'clock, there's a recess. Noon, you got lunch. 2 o'clock, there's a recess. 4 o'clock, you go home. Monday through Friday, every single day for 12 years. And then if you go to college, right, you get a little bit more control over your breaks. But basically, you show up in the morning, you get some breaks in between classes, you have lunch, and then you go home at night. For 12 years or 16 years or 18 years or even 20 years, some of you, you have been programmed, set up for a system that gets you up at 8 a.m. to go to work, gives you a coffee break at 10, lunch at noon, coffee break again at 2, and 4, 4:35, 6 o'clock, you get to go home. And you've been programmed for that since you were 5 years old. Did they get you? See, it's by design. It's by design. They're teaching you a modality of behavior, right? They're indoctrinating you with a way of life and a progression mentality that sets you up not to be free, not to be financially independent, but to be financially dependent, to be dependent on that employer so that you keep coming back, right? So that you keep coming back. And it's so crazy to look at how that's set up in life. See, school teaches you a little bit of information, a shallowness of information on a breadth of topics. But in the real world, you don't get paid to know a lot about a little bit about a lot, right? You don't get paid to know little bits of lots of things. You get paid to have specialized knowledge and skill sets in a specific area. That's what you get paid for in real life. And so school teaches you know a little bit about a lot. Don't specialize in anything. Get a bachelor's of liberal arts or whatever, right? What does that even mean, right? Oh, I know a little bit about everything and not a lot about anything. So you got to get a specialized skill set, a specialized knowledge. And that's what you get paid for. School is about giving you information. Listen, we don't need any more information. Information is easily accessible. We have access today to more information than we've ever had in the history of the world. And yet we're simultaneously so we have a surplus of wisdom and simultaneously a complete and total lack, okay, of wisdom. We have a surplus of information, but a lack of wisdom. Wisdom is knowing what to do with the information. It's knowing how to act on that information. See, we don't get paid, and nor do we produce value, by the way. You don't produce value for anybody by what you know. You produce value for people with what you do with what you know, right? The action that you take with what you know. That's where you produce value, and you get paid in proportion to the value that you bring. And see, school is about me, learn. No. But real life is about give, serve, act. If you give big, if you serve big, if you bring huge value to the table, if you show up every day and you compete in that marketplace, you're going to win. And school doesn't teach you that. School doesn't teach you about resilience, right? School doesn't teach you about mental toughness. School doesn't teach you stick-to-itiveness. School doesn't teach you emotional control. It doesn't teach you any of those things. It gives you a ton of information. It says, hey, here, go into the world, calculate the angle of an isosceles triangle. There you go, right? Okay, doesn't teach you anything about what to do. Okay, and so your entire life, man, you and I, we've been programmed to not be able to know how to think. We've been programmed with what to think. We've been programmed to have our days controlled by others and to follow a rhythm that is simple and comfortable for us. Guys, listen. Okay, most people never break out of the comfort zone, and their comfort zone was designed on purpose in school to translate over to what it would be like working at a job. It's uncomfortable to break out. It's uncomfortable to go out on our own. It's uncomfortable to leave the systematic progression. For most people, I know some of you out there failed kindergarten. Okay, I know, God bless you. Okay, I know some of you out there failed another grade or two. But for the most part, most people, if they're fogging a mirror, they're going to go to first grade, and then they're going to go to second. And after second, they're going to go to third and fourth and fifth and sixth. And what school teaches you is if you just keep showing up and doing your time, you're going to progress. You're just going to naturally go further. Next year, you're going to be in the next grade, right? And with very limited exception to that rule. But yet we get into real life, and then we can't figure out why we haven't gotten a raise in 5 years. Right? And we think, well, I just keep showing up. I don't actually have to get better. I don't actually have to bring more value. I don't actually have to be more than I was before to get more. I should just be progressing because I'm here. Right? And that's not how the world works. And so schooling, education, the education system prepares us for failure because it teaches us all we got to do is show up and fog the mirror, and we're going to keep progressing in life. And then we get out into the real world, and man, so many people, they get 1 year's experience, and then they live that same year over and over and over again because they don't get better. They don't push themselves. They don't drive a depth of knowledge in the field that they're working in. Why? Because they think it's enough. They think, well, I'm done learning. I did my learning already. Folks, you're never done learning. Okay, leaders are learners. Leaders are learners. You're never done learning. And so listen, it's what you do in school that allows you to survive. It's the learning that happens after school that allows you to thrive, right? Okay, and so man, listen, we're in this system that's programmed to get us to fall in line with a system that's made to keep us broke, busted, disgusted, not enough time, not in control of our life, not in control of our finances. It teaches us nothing about what to do to succeed in the real world. And then, okay, then if you want to go beyond high school, you can pay to go to college, get even more of this education that isn't useful. Now, listen, I'm happy my doctor went to college. I'm happy my engineers went to college. I'm happy that my lawyers went to college, my accountants. Okay, specialized skill set, that's an exception. But general skill sets, guys, listen, the reason that there's so much hoopla right now about student loan forgiveness, and there is no such thing as student loan forgiveness, by the way. There's only student loan transferal. There's only student loan transferal. Why? Okay, because somebody's got to be paid back that money. Somebody loaned the money, either a private company or a federal lending agency. Okay, and so if it's a private company that gets the hose, guess what? They got to make that money up somehow. So they lend to fewer people and they charge higher interest rates. Now they actually hurt people going to school that want to go to school and could benefit from school. But if it's the government, guess what? The government doesn't make any money. Right? The government gets money by taxing people and selling debt, right? That's how the government gets money. The government doesn't make a product or a service. Even the postal service, the service runs out of deficit every year. It's negative every year, right? The government does not make money. And so if the government loaned money to somebody, people say, well, it's not like nobody else has to pay it. They're just writing it off. Okay. But where did they get that money to begin with? Well, they got it from taxes. They got it from you and I. So they took money from you and I, gave it to this person, and then that person was supposed to pay it back, right? So there's money for the next thing that the government needs to do, the road, the army, the whatever. Okay, so when those loans don't get paid back, there ain't enough money to do the other stuff. So guess who they come back and get more from? You and me, right? And guys, listen, okay, the average increase in salary for a average 4-year degree versus no degree. And there's a lot of companies right now that don't even need degrees anymore, right? Okay, Google, Apple, all these big companies, we don't even care if you have this anymore. There's so many people that have this, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Doesn't really say anything about what sort of value you're going to contribute, right? So you don't, most people don't even need it, but listen, right? If you borrowed $80,000, okay, some of these people are paying back 2 and 3 and 4 times over what they borrowed, right? Okay, so you borrow 80, you end up paying back $200,000 or $300,000 maybe, okay? And if you took that money and you invested it, do you understand what the differential between what you make with a college degree and what you make without a college degree? It take you like 5 lifetimes to earn back the money you lost by having debt and not having that money to invest, right? Okay. Not only that, but you lost 4 or 5 or 6 years of earning potential because you weren't working. So not only didn't you have the money to invest or do something else with, okay, but now you've lost all this time. So you take the money you would have made in those 3 or 4 or 5 years and you invest that money, it'd take you 5 lifetimes to make it back in your differential. So the amount of extra money you earn relative to the opportunity cost and the lost wages is a math problem that doesn't work, which is why everybody's screaming about this. Hey, we went to school, we did what we were told, we took out all these loans and we're not making it. It didn't help us, right? And so they took out loans for things that weren't even valuable to begin with, put themselves in a huge thing. Listen, okay, I'm not for student loan transferal, okay, but I am for student loan reform, okay, because the people that are lending money to 18-year-old kids with no ability to repay this, to get degrees that are worth absolutely nothing from institutions that have more cash on hand. The top 5 or 10 colleges have more cash on hand than the biggest companies in the country or the federal government, some of them, right? I mean, it's just crazy to look at that. That's predatory lending. When you lend money to somebody knowing they're never going to pay it back because they can't, because what you've lent them the money for is worthless, that's predatory lending. Okay. But listen, here's what they're doing. Okay. When you're a predatory lender, you need to get shut down. You need to stop those practices. But what they're doing is they want to keep lending in a predatory fashion and just get you and I to cover it. Hey, we'll loan to these people. Doesn't matter that they're not going to pay us back because these people over here will pay us back. Right. And so they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to continue a predatory lending process, but they don't want to be accountable to it. They just think, well, these idiots over here that won't vote any of these guys out that are doing this garbage, right? They're just going to pay for it. And they just take from you and I. But listen, newsflash, okay? If your student loan isn't valuable enough for you to pay back, the education you got with that student loan isn't valuable enough for you to pay back, it sure as heck ain't valuable enough for me to pay back. Why would I want? You don't even want to pay it back. Why would I want to pay it back? Right? That doesn't make any sense. And so, guys, listen. Self-education, reading books from the great minds, the great leaders, the great thinkers, podcasts like this one, audios, seminars, mastermind groups, YouTube. Guys, listen. The world is your classroom right now. There's nothing you can't learn for free or for a lot less money than you're paying to go to school, faster, more efficient, with a higher return today. There's nothing you can't learn it's all available to you, right? And so here's what I think is going to happen. I think over the next 20 years, I think the population is going to wake up and they're going to say, this model of education, if we want to call it that, is obsolete, it's out of date, it's past its prime, it's no longer serving its purpose. And I think we're going to continue to see the rise of online education, specialized knowledge, specialized skill sets being taught by people who have track records and results in those areas. That's what I think we're going to see over here. So listen, okay, why talk about this? Why go share your opinion on this? And some of you probably disagree with me, and that's okay. God bless you. Hey, for those of you who are like, yeah, student loans need to be forgiven. Hey, why don't you find somebody with a student loan and send them a check if you care so much? Nobody's stopping you from giving your money to fix that problem if you care so much, right? But you want to give other people's money, right? Let's fix this problem. You three, give them the money to fix the problem. What a wonderful hero you are, right? That you're willing to take from other people and solve somebody else's problem, right? You're the arbiter of where value should go, right? What a noble calling you have. I know there's probably some of you that don't agree with me. There's probably some of you who got a lot of value out of your education. Like I said, there are exceptions. There are people who need to be educated when education is in a specific field and there's a depth of knowledge applied to practice. That's the key. Applied to practice. Applied to practice. It's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. Okay, it's your consistency, it's your discipline, it's your determination. Those are the things that mark real world value. And it's wisdom, which is what you do with the information you have. Okay. And so many people today, they've just been taught like, hey, if you go and you suck up knowledge, you just become a knowledge reservoir. Everything's going to work out for you. And that's a tall tale today for a lot of people. That's a tall tale for a lot of people. So man, listen, I hope you got some value out of this. I hope you think twice, okay, about schooling and the education system. I hope you ask yourself, what is this actually teaching me? Is this teaching me to be independent? Is this teaching me to critically think? Is this teaching me to question the power structures and the authority out there? Is this teaching me to bring value to the real world? Is this teaching me to network? Is this teaching me to build? Or is this teaching me to know and to fall in line and to toe the line, right? To be average and ordinary, a nameless, faceless part of the masses. What is this teaching me to do? Right? And I want to encourage you to find a better way. If you have kids, there's a better way. If you have kids, there's a better way. If you got a traditional education and you're struggling right now in the real world, there's a better way. There's knowledge that you can get that's going to help you win in life. And for those of you who are sold out to self-improvement, man, you're developing yourself. You're self-educating. You're devouring the greats. You're devouring the classics. You're devouring the greatest thinkers. the best autobiographies and biographies, all the books on how to win, how to lead, how to influence. Man, you are going to be so far ahead of people in the coming economy. The coming economy, okay, is a specialized skill set economy. It's a network and connector economy. It's a problem solver and service provider economy. And you are going to be miles ahead of everybody else. So keep up the great work. I hope this challenged you a little bit. Hey, if you agree, like this, share this, repost it out on social media. If you disagree, God bless you. Leave something in the comments. Tell me what an idiot I am. I love reading them sometimes. It gives me a good chuckle before I go to bed. All right, guys. Hey, until next time, we'll talk to you soon.